All right, everyone, welcome back to the new episode of the Southeast Gassers podcast from Shift Points here. We're coming off a weekend at Knoxville Dragway with the Southeast Gassers. This was the first race that I've got to actually attend in probably, I don't know, it's been years.
Yeah.
So It was cool to be there, and then to also be able to come in here and to talk about it with Randy. And this is Randy Edwards. Randy is Randy Edmonds, excuse me.
Yeah.
Randy Edmonds, and he is here to talk about it. He's the race director for the Southeast Gassers. If this is the first time you've watched one of these podcasts, what we normally try and do is come in here and just kind of give a rundown of how the weekend went, because some of the racing that went on, and then kind of how the points and all the standings kind of shuffled out at the end here. And then just kind of anything else that comes up as we get to talking. So if you found us because of the Southeast Gassers, we really appreciate it. And we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button whenever you do that. That'd be really awesome. It helps us out a lot. Randy, how's it going?
Good, and you?
It's good. It's been a busy day.
It has.
I've been running around like crazy. I'm sure you have been too.
Well, it's been a pretty busy week.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The weekend started out basically, all week long, the weather forecast was back and forth, and then Friday evening, I think that it was showing 20% chance of rain.
Yep.
And then we got into it, and we were just almost, we had two sets of cars to run in B gas, and it started raining.
Yeah.
And so Knoxville Dragway worked their tails off to get the track ready.
Yeah.
Got the track ready around 8:30. We were getting ready to go back up. It started raining again. And then the bottom dropped out of it.
Right.
And it came a hard rain. So we had to roll it over into Sunday. The weather forecast for Sunday looked worse than Saturday.
Really? I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, they were calling for rain. We didn't expect to really get it in on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
We were just hoping we'd get a few rounds in and probably finish it up in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked out. It was an absolutely beautiful day. I mean, weathermen, weatherwomen, whatever, they don't.
That area, they say like that area and where we live here in the mountains of North Carolina is like the hardest to forecast for. You never know what that stuff's going to do.
But Sunday was absolutely gorgeous. Everything, weather-wise went great. We got started back at 12:30, and I'm not sure. Time kind of got away from me there. I think Tara and I was packed up and ready to leave by 5:15, 5:30.
Wow, yeah, you guys were hustling then.
Yeah, we had some little controversy and delays there toward the end.
Right.
But anyway, we got out of there pretty quick and got home before dark. But Saturday's racing, track was good. Track was really too good. A lot of the cars were hooking so hard that they were actually biting so hard that it was loosening up and spinning.
Okay, so I noticed them doing that, and I didn't realize kind of that was what was going on there.
Yeah, it was actually, the track was too good.
It's crazy.
And,
how that can be.
Yeah, and so we did the consolation race again this time.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is everyone that in the first round that goes out gets their name thrown in a hat in the point span classes, Super Stock, C, B, and A gas, and then 2 names gets drawn out.
Okay.
We had a sponsor this weekend of Powerhouse Diesel, and they sponsored that. And I guess I'll probably go into that first. We call it the luck of the draw consolation race. And so what the super stock guys that got drawn out left.
Oh no!
They didn't want to stick around for Sunday, and a lot of people left. We had people still in that left because the weather forecast looked so bad.
Okay.
And so we didn't have anybody run the consolation in super stock. But we did have, in C-Gas, we had 2 of her ladies, Diana Casto and Tasha McLemore.
I got to meet and talk to Diana. She's in our video. She was so nice.
Oh, she is good. Her and Dana also. And then did you happen to talk to Track Mama?
I don't think I did, actually.
We call her Track Mama. That's her mother. She comes with them. But Diana took the win there, and they split the money.
Okay.
and it was a good deal. You know, I mean, that's really a good thing. The consolation races turned out to be really, really good because you've got equal cars.
Right.
You've got cars that, you know, in the first round, you've got the fastest car running the slowest car.
Right.
You know, so when you take these people that went out the first round, you've got more equal cars.
Right.
So,
right.
But Diana took the win. Her and Tasha split the money. In B-Gas, it was Sean McLemore, Tasha's husband, and Mark Hollick. I'm not sure. I may have messed his name up here, but he just purchased Flower Power 56 Chevy from Quain.
I remember him coming up in the driver's meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this was his first time out, and he gets to take home some money and a win light.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's all you can ask for his first time showing up, really.
Yeah. Sean was using a backup engine. They were actually, I think, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, buttoning it up and didn't start it until, you know, after daylight.
Right.
You know, to get everything final, you know, on it and everything. So it wasn't his race engine.
Gotcha.
You know, so if it'd been his race engine, he probably wouldn't have went out the first round.
Gotcha.
But then you go into A-Gas, and you had Marlon Short and Short Temper, the little green A-model coupe, with beautiful little car, and Barry Lynn in a little red wagon.
Yeah.
So Barry took that win, and he and Marlon split. So, you know, I mean, it's like I say, you know, it's been a hit. I think we've already got it lined up for Mississippi to have a consolation race there.
I like that. I mean, like I said, you're getting to feel the downtime, and, you know, especially these guys that go and split, I think that's a great, you know, because it helps them both. Yeah. They're both having to put an extra pass on them, but, you know, they both bring home a little something, Yeah,
and I mean, you know, they're there to race.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you know, if they get out and make another pass and,
why not?
You know, take a win line, you know,
exactly.
It's a good deal. And like I said, we've already got it. We feel like we've already got it nailed down in Mississippi to have one. And I was talking with Buffs at Shady Side. Actually, talked with them today, and we think we can probably make it happen there too for the last race of the year.
I'm glad to hear that's kind of, you know, catching on at each race, because I thought that was such a cool idea last time we talked about it.
You know, and in the whole big scheme of it, it's not really that much money for somebody to come in and sponsor it. And we're going to start doing, you know, we held a banner up for the sponsor this time, you know, and we'll do the same thing. Maybe in the future we can, you know, have some kind of little presentation with the banner and everything where we give them the money.
Right.
You know, something like that, you know. Maybe someday a sponsor might even give them a little trophy or something, you know, for something that winner of the consolation race. You know, as it goes on, you know, we'll make it better.
Right.
You know, but yeah, it was a real good deal there. Going into Sunday, H-Gas, we had 7 cars again, which is really good, and that class is growing. It is growing. We've got several more cars. I heard about another car this weekend that's coming. And I had a fella that was supposed to show up, Joey Little. He ended up not showing up. He probably didn't get something together with another bug.
There's quite a few of those bugs around. As I was going around through the pits and stuff, there's quite a few of them around.
Yeah, we had 2 this weekend. So there would have been 3 if Joey had made it. And but the little 6-cylinder in Robert Fraser's Barracuda showed out this weekend.
Yeah.
He ran a 705. Man. You know, I mean, and that's something else. First time ever. First time ever we showed the scoreboards in the finals.
Yeah.
And so he ran a 705. That's with an inline Jeep 6-cylinder.
That's crazy.
You know, so it's and it's smooth. He looks good out there when he does it. You know, and we've never had anybody go as fast as the Volkswagens in the inline. But Robert did it this weekend. And congratulations to him. Doug Loudermilk was runner up in Beelzebub. So, like I say, that's a growing class.
Yeah.
Could possibly be, you know, maybe even 10, 11 cars at Shady Side.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Wow, you got a good
we got
coming.
Larry Noel keeps saying he's coming. We'll see. But AFX, we've got Robert Peffley is running AFX, and he is actually one of our tech guys also.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's got the rose goldish copper colored car. Is that right?
Yeah, with the Hemi in it.
Yeah, with the Hemi. Yep.
Yeah, with the Hemi, and so he and his father are tech.
Okay.
So I'm going to take over tech on AFX.
Okay,
so for no conflict, there I'm going to start doing tech on AFX, and but I found out this weekend that there's some things on it. But first, I want to congratulate Rocky Platt on coming back. He's been out all year with a shoulder surgery.
Dixie Twister car,
Dixie
right?
Twister,
Yep.
Dixie Twister.
I'm putting the names and drivers together slowly but surely.
And, so he came out. He didn't. I think he clutched where he didn't have to because of his shoulder.
Gotcha.
And ran his best time.
Really?
And I'm just almost going. He ran a 6:04.
Wow.
He ran a 6:04 in it, and that's on a little bitty tire.
Yeah.
That's on a little bitty tire, and but I also found out this weekend we've got a 64 GTO coming, and it's going to have a Butler Pontiac engine in it.
That's great. So quickly, and we might have talked about this before, and the only reason I ask again is because the only class I didn't get to talk to when I was down there at Knoxville was an AFX guy. Mm-hmm. He got busy doing the tech stuff, which is completely fair, and we got behind to get to talking to him. So the AFX cars, what are they? Like, let's talk about that class a little bit, because the wheelbase seems to be pretty drastically altered, and kind of what else goes along with that.
Well, it's altered factory experimental.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Okay.
That was the beginning of the funny cars.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's where they came from.
Gotcha.
And they run alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
I think back in the day they actually ran some nitro.
Okay.
In them,
Understood.
And but they all run alcohol. They're all injected.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, they're all big blocks.
Okay.
And there is rumor that there could be small blocks coming.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And,
so what is your rule as far with this altered wheelbase and all of this? Like, what's the rules around that? Is there a rule around that, or is that the open?
I haven't really got into
to
that part of it yet, and I'm not really sure they are about where it has to be.
That's what I wondered.
Mm-hmm. I just like I say, this started this weekend.
Completely understand.
And I do know that 11-inch height rule.
Okay.
We had one car that's a little below that, and he's going to raise it up over the winter. But it's going to be a really cool class.
Yeah, I could see that being putting on a really good show.
It already does.
For sure.
It has. It's been just like a filler,
mm-hmm.
Class for us.
How many cars did you have this weekend?
We didn't have but three this weekend.
Okay.
And Sam Gables was supposed to be there, but he didn't show up. And so we'd only had three. But we've got, like I said, we've got a 64 GTO, we've got a Comet coming, we've got a Barracuda coming, and her groomer of a Mustang coming.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
So that's, and I know the GTO's coming, I know the Barracuda's coming for sure, and I guess pretty much sure the Comet's coming.
That'll get you pretty close to a full class then, right?
Yeah. And there was I can't remember if it was a Chevelle or a Nova that ran maybe the first race this year, but he's not been back.
Okay.
But anyway, we're getting up there, eight or so cars right there, so yeah, it's looking like it could become something pretty soon too.
That's good.
And but it's just like I say, it's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a crowd pleaser, and so we'll see how it goes. All right, we get into super stock. Rick Varner, number one qualifier again. He's been there. I think that he's probably been number one qualifier every race this year.
Really?
Yeah. And he was still the car to beat all weekend. His big wheel stands, dragging
mm-hmm.
a back bumper on that Camaro. And it came down to the finals with he and Randy Kiefer in a Pontiac,
mm-hmm.
Spine Tingler.
Mm-hmm.
And
I got to talk to Randy. It was cool to see. I thought it was awesome that he won. He was one of the guys that we talked to. Yeah, it was neat.
Rick came out hard, stood straight up, and the car turned and went toward the wall, and he kind of got out of it there, but at that time, Kiefer was gone.
I noticed that in a couple of cars that we watched on Saturday, kind of doing that same thing, kind of turning toward the wall. I guess it maybe in the left lane he was probably in the left lane. I guess.
No, he was in the right lane.
He was in the right lane. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. It's.
I say that just because the ones I noticed doing it the most seemed to be in the left lane.
But Rick's pretty much just show up and he's won the points. I think that he's 50 points ahead. The points haven't came out yet, but I just kind of done a quick in my head. But I think he's 50 points ahead. Matter of fact, I think he told me he was 50 points ahead.
Okay.
After Superstock ran. But that's on a 7-inch tire, and they're standing on the back wheels. Or Rick is. And I've saw some others do it too. Jerry Dean. It's amazing what's going on with that little bitty tire.
It really is.
But Randy Kiefer took a win, and we showed her times. He ran a 6:90, but that's a little off from what he has ran before.
Okay.
And I'm not sure exactly what he ran in qualifying, but I'm sure it was faster than that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Superstock times in Superstock are amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
What they're doing on that little bitty tire.
And we talked about this before, I think, but Hoosier saying that was like the worst tire that they had ever developed, and that no one was ever going to do anything with it, and he's putting it on the bumper with it.
That's it.
Wild.
That's it. And it's
just quickly, Randy. Again, to kind of not to interrupt you too much, but
no
like the show and the times. What was why has that always been that way for you guys?
Well, back in the 60s, they didn't have it.
They didn't have time.
All they had was a wind light.
Okay, gotcha.
They didn't have nothing but a wind light back in the day. And also, what it does is, you got all these people in the stands, and if you got one car that's 0.2 faster than everybody else in that class, but that doesn't always mean that car's going to win. There's
for sure
in these cars especially. There's a lot goes on.
Yeah, it's like you say that you can win on paper, but that's why we race. You never know what's going to happen.
From the water box to the wind light, there's a lot goes on in these cars.
Yeah,
you gotta cut a good light. You gotta hit your shift points. You gotta hit every gear.
Yeah.
And there's a lot can happen. Engine, you can't roll the engine over. You can't. You can't short shift.
Yep,
the cars are so equal.
They are, yeah, that's true.
The cars are so equal that it's everything's got to be right.
Gotcha.
And
I was just curious about that. I didn't know. I didn't put that together. I didn't think about that. So that's interesting to know.
This is the first time ever that it's done, and
I think it's super cool. Coming from a more modern side of drag. I was around drag racing for, a little younger than some of the crowd to be able to see the times and stuff. I thought that was really neat to kind of see, because I think there might be a, I don't know what the word is I'm trying to look for here, stigma or whatever you want to say, that because you're based off this old set of rules that these cars are slow. Mm-hmm. And that is not the case. That is absolutely not the case.
No, they're amazingly fast for what they are.
That's the truth.
And it's really, they don't have a big tire on them, even the gasser cars.
Yeah, 10.5-inch tire right on the that's what I thought.
Yeah, 11.5's the limit.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. And but most everybody's running a 10.5.
Okay.
And but just like I say, he ran a 690.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiefer did, but the car has ran. I think it normally runs 60s, somewhere around there, But another reason not to show it is just like I was going back to. If everybody sees a car that's fast, they're saying, well, he's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of takes some of the excitement out of it, and then when you see it at the end and you see actually how fast they ran, and we're probably going to do it from now on.
Yeah.
Just the last
just
one.
In the finals.
And really, I've been after Quayne for quite some time to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me last week one day and he said, what can we do to kind of build some excitement for this? I said, turn the scoreboards off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I called Wes, talked to Wes at Knoxville. And I've mentioned Wes. Great deal at Knoxville Dragway. Wes Clapp and Kristen, his wife, and
that guy must not. He couldn't have sat still more than like 2 seconds on Saturday. Just every time I would see him, he was on a scooter or he was at the start line. He was somewhere. He was working his tail off this week.
He is wide open. He is wide open, and he's he is a great promoter.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he tells me that was really his calling, was to be a promoter.
We're missing that nowadays. There's a lot more business people, and there's not as many promoters as there used to be.
Yeah, and he's got some great things going on over there, you know. Just kind of keep an eye on it. You know, follow Knoxville Dragway. Follow Shady Side Dragway. I mean, you know, we're close to that. London Dragway. Follow these guys and see, you know, I mean, you might want to run up on a Friday or Saturday night and see what's going on.
Yep. That's something I've started to say, like at the end of each podcast, just go watch a race. Just do it. You know what I mean? There's no reason not to. Go. These guys are running weekly shows and stuff. It's affordable to go to. Just go see a race, because I'm telling you, you're going to find something that you like at these races.
Yeah. I don't know if I ought to just throw it out there, but could be a big concert coming to Knoxville.
I saw that. I saw some rumblings of that on Facebook.
Yeah. Was it Oliver Anthony?
Oliver Anthony, yeah.
Oliver Anthony, maybe. And what Wes told me, it was going to be a redneck Woodstock.
Yeah. There we go.
But anyway, you know, I mean, we're kind of getting off track here on all that. But, you know, just like I say, follow these little tracks. We need them. We need to keep them, you know, support them. Go watch them. I mean, you know, all you guys around where we're from, you know what happened to our local speedway.
I know. Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, I mean, politics took it away.
Yep, 100%.
You know, I mean, it was all politics.
That's exactly
right.
And
we won't get into that.
Yeah. But, get us fired up here, Randy.
but anyway, you know, to follow these guys. Go watch a race. Go Thursday night, Friday night testing tunes. You know, you can get in cheap on Thursday night and Friday night testing tunes at some of these local tracks. Go and there's some good stuff goes on at them.
Yeah, for sure.
You know. But get into Seagas. It came down to the number 1 and 2 in points. Todd Oden in the Double X 58 Chevy. Tim Hall, Scarlet Dog Rambler. They were pretty much, as it has been lately, the top ones after Josh Pruitt got taken out. Josh Pruitt got taken out on a hole shot. Ernie Smith took Josh out. Josh was the fastest qualifier, I think, around a 6:11, and then that opened the door for Todd and Tim, which they were slower than Josh this weekend, all weekend long.
Right.
Josh actually ran, I think, faster than that maybe on Friday night. But if Josh is there, he's a contender.
Yeah.
You know? But in Fairlane, and they came down to they left. Looked like what was pretty even to me, standing there, and Todd's car rolled over on about second or third gear. I thought he had missed a gear. I thought he broke a transmission or something. But in talking with him later, he said it was a rotor button.
Oh, really?
Yeah, said it was a rotor button. And but Tim ran a 6:15 to win and gained 5 points on Todd. So I think if I've calculated right, that puts him up 25 points.
Okay.
And so, you know, Tim's going for 2 in a row, just like Rick Marner's going for 2 in a row championships, which has never been done.
Never been done. Yep, that's right.
Never been done. And then going into B-Gas. Let me see. I didn't look to see who was number 1 qualifier. I think it was Kevin Burt again.
Okay.
I think Kevin Burt was number 1 qualifier again. And but it came down to Ted McKee and Daniel Haynes. I think it was the run before that Daniel came out of the water. His line lock didn't hold, and he came out of the water pretty erratic.
Okay.
Which is not normal for him. And actually got my attention because I was standing outside the guardrail when it happened, and Quayne was standing right beside me, and we both looked at each other, and he said, "We was in a bad spot."
Yeah.
You know. So, but anyway, he went on to win that round. He came into the next round. He came up, and you know, they were both getting ready to stage, and he overstaged, and Ted was coming in. I think Ted already had one bulb on, and around just almost simultaneously, Ted turned the second bulb on as he was coming back after overstaging.
Okay.
Ted actually, I think, opened the door, and because he thought it should have fouled him.
Right.
And Daniel had already jumped back in. The tree fell. Daniel left and got the wind light.
Okay.
All right. Quayne is doing live feed. Quayne walks up beside me, and someone's saying, what went on there and stuff, and they're saying, well, Daniel rolled the beams, and Quayne says, well, Ted wins. Well, I've got my earbud in, and the tower's saying a different thing.
Gotcha.
All right, and let me explain this: that Southeast Gasser does not have an official starter. We don't have a starter that goes with us like NHRA or whatever.
Right.
We don't. We have Angela, which is our heart and soul in the tower.
Yeah.
But she is just doing our ladder sheets and everything. She's keeping up with the ladder sheets and stuff, and of course she's watching all this stuff and everything. And but the starter in the tower is saying that Daniel wins because it did not foul him.
Right.
Okay. Now it's been a learning week for me.
Yeah.
And when Quayne said that, that's why I told Quayne you need to talk to the tower, because Quayne's always told me it's the starter's call. Just like it is on our center line.
Right.
If there's a center line cross, it's the starter's call on whether he crossed or not. And not every track's totally different, but most tracks got a little different outlook on what a cross really is.
Gotcha.
And we try to go over that in the driver's meeting.
Right. And you go off of the track's rule.
The track's rule,
Gotcha.
yes. And so the tower saying Daniel won, and so Quayne's goes to the tower. I'm trying to go ahead and get A-gas up there and let's get them running, and then we'll sort all this out.
Right.
Well, by the time we get there and get A-gas ran, I go over there to get A-gas. They're over there having a conversation about what went on. Quayne, Daniel, Ted, and others who probably shouldn't even been in the conversation.
Right.
It should be between the officials and the driver.
Right.
Not grandma, not grandpa, not the neighbor or whoever.
Yeah.
They need to just stay out of it.
Yeah, it's easy for situations like that to kind of escalate pretty quickly.
And it did, and there was, I'll just stop there. But, Daniel was willing to rerun. And so in a situation where the tree messes up, that's what would have happened, but only in the finals.
Okay.
If the tree messes up, and it has happened before where the tree messes up, and we've went ahead and let them rerun.
Gotcha.
But normally, just like NHRA, IHRA, or something, if you read their rules, it's both would be disqualified in a situation like that.
Oh, really? I did not realize that.
That's what I read today.
Okay.
I read that today in there, which it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me.
No, yeah.
Right. Just go ahead. But what it does is it throws everything out of kilter. If you got to bring this class back up to run, two cars, it throws everything out. And I'm assuming that's why they do it.
Could be.
But it says a rerun only in the finals on some stuff I was reading today, and but this was the finals.
Yeah.
And so when it came down to it, they one of them didn't want to rerun. One of them said he didn't mind a rerun, and then when it was put to the starter in the tower, he called Daniel the winner. So that was it.
That was the decision.
That was the decision. I'm not saying that I agree with it. But that was the starter's decision.
Right.
And I'm not trying to throw blame on anybody here,
Right.
and everybody can tell you that I had no opinion on what was going on there other than some comments that were made that shouldn't have been made.
Right.
And but anyway, that's the way it.
That's what happened.
That's the way it rolled out. We're going to look at things
So
maybe a little
this is a
differently.
learning thing. You don't. You can never. Sometimes certain rules are written. You can tell they're written in a way because that's happened before. And that's probably happens.
And that's why the rule books gets bigger.
Exactly.
Yep. And if you look at it, there was some people rolled out a NHRA clarification on that rule.
Gotcha.
Well, that if it's a clarification, that tells me that there was something happened somewhere.
Exactly.
That they had to put this out.
Yep.
To make So anyway, we're not the only ones that have these issues.
Of course.
And it's been in all types of racing.
Exactly.
If you ever go to the local dirt track on Saturday night, there's a lot of fish fly sometimes.
Seems to be, yeah, that's the truth.
But anyway, I've talked to everyone, pretty much everyone. I'll put it that way. Pretty much everyone. I've talked to Ted and Daniel, and some of the other ones that were involved, and we're good.
Good.
And looking back at it, I think maybe some different decisions would have been made. Hindsight's 20/20.
Exactly. Always.
And there were some things said that probably shouldn't have been said and wouldn't have been said if everybody had just stepped back and took a look at it.
Exactly.
But we'll go on to Mississippi and go on from here. It wasn't anything that's going to determine a points championship.
That's good. That's good.
Daniel's up there in points. I think he maybe have moved into second, but he's so far back he can't catch Ted.
Gotcha.
If Ted shows up for the next two races, but that's it, And but I think that Ted's 55 ahead.
Okay.
So basically, all he's got to do is show up to the next race, and he's won the championship.
Gotcha.
Which and well deservingly, Ted
Right.
has ran great all year long.
Yeah.
Great guy, great team. It's just. I just hate that this happened the way it did and where it did. This is his home track.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He doesn't live too far from here.
Right.
And stuff. And we like to say we're a family, and families hit bumps in the road.
Absolutely. But if you guys have already got, it's Wednesday now. You guys race on Sunday. You've kind of got everything relatively smoothed over. That's pretty good.
Yeah. There was actually some things put on the internet that shouldn't have never got there, but I was looking today, and a lot of them been taken down.
Good.
And I really appreciate that.
Good.
That people went in there and took things down. But there was no favoritism there or anything else in any way.
Yeah.
On this call. I think the world of Daniel and Ted and everybody there,
Right.
I'll just tell you this, that the first time Tara and I ever went to one of these together, I'd been to several before then. We're sitting there, and Tara, we've been to thousands of races over the years,
Right.
every type of racing there is, and we're sitting at Shadyside, her first race ever, and she said, "Who do you pull for in this?" She said, "You cheer for everybody." Who do you pull for? And I said, well, who would you pull against?
Right, exactly, yeah.
That's
how
that's
I
the
felt.
way,
that's exactly how I felt being down there on Saturday. It was like, to me, as a fan watching this, I don't even care who wins. You do a little bit. You might have like, oh, that's a neat car or something like that. But in general, you just want to see a really good race. And there were so many really good races,
Mm-hmm. And just just the excitement of the families and everything when their guy wins. And a lot of times I'm right in the middle of it.
Right.
And I'm cheering with him. It's
Right.
not that I'm against the guy over here.
Yeah, you'd have done the same thing if he'd won.
Yeah. And but it's all good, you know. I mean, it's
and every one of these people and the cars, they've all got their own stories. And to be excited about a win, a round win, or a whole event win and stuff like that, that's something I did learn. Something I realized more. You had talked about it, but then getting to talk to everybody, everyone's got a really distinct story about the Gassers or about that specific car or the event or whatever it is. And yeah, it'd be hard to root against anybody. You know, you just want to see everybody do well.
Well, and I know we're probably going a little long here, but I think we need to talk about this. But one of Ted's uncles is an old racer, and Irving brothers. They raced. I don't actually remember it, but they were talking about English Mountain.
Okay.
In the 70s.
Okay.
I was there a bunch when I was a kid in the 70s.
Right.
And Irving Brothers Racing. And
I feel that sounds super familiar to me. I don't know.
I'm sure it is. I need to go back and look it up.
Okay, yeah.
But he came to talk to Southeast Gassers official. He had something he wanted to say. Yeah. But anyway, before it was over with, he shook my hand, and we were good. And actually, when I talked to Ted the other day, he said, my uncle said to tell you, he apologized. You know what I mean? And he didn't even need to do that.
Yeah.
I would like to really sit down and talk to him now that we've talked and you know, and everything. And but anyway, Ted told me a story, and I think we need to talk about this.
Sure.
When Ted was a little boy, he wanted to go to the drag races at English Mountain.
Okay.
With his uncle. And I think that maybe, I don't know, for whatever reason, they wasn't going to let him go.
Got you.
He went and climbed in the race car on a trailer and buckled in. They found him when they got to the racetrack.
You can't hardly turn someone like that away if they want to go that bad.
But I mean, that's just how much this kid wanted to go watch his uncle race, or wanted to go watch the races.
The races in general.
I mean, and that's that's just the passion of going to watch drag racing.
Yeah, and I saw so many kids at this event, and they were so excited. When I was talking to Diana, when I was standing in her car, a kid came up and was looking at it, and they were taking a picture with it, and she goes, "Do you want to jump in the driver's seat?" And he said, "Yep." And he went right over there, and she let him in. He climbed in, and that was awesome, because I just don't feel like you see that as much at events like you used to. I don't know, maybe it's just in my head, but there was a lot of that there this weekend.
At Southeast Gassers, you see it all day on Saturday.
That's exactly, yes.
And Friday.
Yeah.
And Friday. You see it. It's amazing how much you see it. And the kids the driver's kids, you met Holden.
Yeah, I did.
You met Holden, and Holden is a character.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's just so many of those kids. You have the trophy girls are some of the driver's kids. And it's hard to describe what goes on at a Southeast Gassers race.
You just got to go.
You got to go.
You've told me so many things, and I don't think I ever would fully realize it until I went this weekend. It's just, I'm still excited about it. You know what I mean? Just coming back, and me and Jackson talked about it the whole way home, and he wasn't able to come today. He had to work. He had to work a little late, but he told me to tell you the same thing. What a good time he had, how much he appreciated, getting us to come. So,
yeah, it's a good deal, and I had a friend of mine that I worked with for 25 plus years. Just messaged me on Friday night and said, "Hey man, you invited me to come to a race." He said, "I got a chance to come this weekend." Bill Tomberlin. He's QA at Meritor, and he showed up this weekend and had a ball.
Good.
Had a ball by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him all over the place. He stayed until it started raining the second time.
Right.
And then he left.
Gotcha.
But I was surprised he stayed after the first time.
Right.
But he was very knowledgeable, and was asking a lot of questions, and was all over the place.
Yeah.
He moved around to get different views of the cars coming off the line and
Yeah.
stuff. He was all both sides, up and down the stands and stuff. But he was thrilled. I'll be back.
That's great.
But,
And that's something we did too. We were doing it for filming, but it was just as much for me as it was for the filming. As I thought the same thing. We were kind of at the starting line. You'd hear them take off, and I told Jackson, I said, let's go down here and get down track. I want to hear these guys, hit the gears as they come down the track, stuff like that, and it was, that was neat. Like I said, there's no bad seat.
No.
Everywhere you're going to see something different. And what he did, I'd say, is probably the best thing, unless you got a big crowd with you. Kind of move around and see different stuff, because everywhere is going to be a little different angle.
I'll tell you what, too, it's good to go down toward the scales, down toward the end of the track, and hear them coming a full pass towards you.
Gotcha. I didn't go down that far.
It's a different sound when they're coming at you down there, and especially the A-gas cars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And but A-gas, we go into A-gas this weekend with Leslie 15 points behind Gabriel.
Okay, yeah.
And, we talked on here a few weeks ago how tough Gabriel was, and Gabriel's fast and on a hot streak and stuff. And he pulled ahead of Leslie. Mm-hmm. Now Leslie's pulled back and tied it up with him. They're tied going into the next race. So they're tied
right now. Wow.
Yeah. Actually, if it was the last race, the way our points is, the one who gets there first is the leader.
Okay.
So actually Gabriel is leading the points, but they're tied.
Okay, gotcha.
But Mitch Stock, Quain's brothers, 63 split window. And I'll say again, one of the nicest cars there.
It's a nice car.
And not saying anything.
There's no not nice cars there, none.
And I'll say this, and I've said this. I think Dean Jonas is the first one I ever heard say this, was that it's the fastest car show in the world.
Yeah, that's a really good. That's
fastest car show in the world. And,
that's true.
But Leslie's car, absolutely beautiful car.
I love that car. My family, and if you're watching this for the first time, my family's affinity with 55 Chevys, and that's like right now I would say the 55 Chevy. I filmed it. I don't know how many passes I filmed with that car. I just loved it. I loved it, what he was doing and everything with it. That was awesome.
Well, Leslie's got a new engine. This is, I think, the second race with this new engine, and they've worked hard on it, just like Gabriel's worked hard on to get his where it's at. And not to say that anybody else had. Mitch has basically got a fresh engine. They went through his. I think this is his second race on a new engine. He was fast this weekend.
Yeah,
he was fast. And it came down to he and Leslie.
Yep.
And at the drop of the lights, they left pretty much together, and then Mitch went to the right.
Yep.
Almost caught the wall.
Yeah.
Almost caught the wall, and I'll say, he didn't quit.
No.
He stayed in it until he saw that there wasn't no catching him, and then he got out.
Yeah.
And the reason he does that, the reason anybody does it, something could happen.
Never know what's going to happen in that other lane.
Yeah, and I can't remember where we were at. It might have been Knoxville, or maybe it was London last year. I don't know where it was at, but Kenneth, Leslie blowed the tires off on the line. Mm-hmm. Kenneth went crazy, and then Leslie got back in it and drove on by him and won.
Really? Yeah.
But
old-fashioned pedal fest.
But Leslie going into this race after he was past winner in Ohio, so he's got 2 in a row here, and that was 3 in a row that he had won in Ohio. It was actually a three-peat. I don't think we mentioned that, but it was a three-peat for him in Ohio.
Okay, I think you guys talked about that in the drivers' meeting. You're talking about how he had performed so well in Ohio.
Yeah, and of course Daniel Haynes has too. But I'm not sure if it's here in Knoxville. I think he's been runner-up, been in the finals 3 in a row or 4 in a row.
Really? Wow.
But he lost.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, but now he's finally got to win at Knoxville. And I may be wrong exactly on the numbers, but it was several in a row.
Right.
And he ran a 5:33.
Yeah, I saw that.
5:33, and at 132 mile an hour or something, And
the reason to go back to talking about the timing and the scoring and stuff like that, we talked a little bit about our trip on Monday in our weekly podcast with a group of our buddies, and Logan when we're here, and I told him, I said, he ran a 5:33 in the finals, and both of their eyes got like this big. They're like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, yeah. These cars are rapid. Like, they're crazy, crazy fast."
Yeah, you know, at 132 mile an hour.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're no joke.
Mm-hmm.
They're no joke. You know, and then that's when it was posted that we were going to show the times. I mean, you know, there was one comment about, well, this is going to hurt some feelings of these power adder boys, these lightweight boys. You know, I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And we should, I think we should say that because I think that's not appreciated enough about this. These cars are naturally aspirated. There's no nitrous. There's no superchargers, turbos, nothing. You know, these are naturally aspirated motors. 4-speed cars, and they're running like this.
Yeah, there's no two-step to help them leave. There's no electronics.
No electronics. Yeah.
They can have a rev limiter.
Yep.
And they can have a 6AL MSD box.
Gotcha.
You know, I mean, and it's really old school stuff as far as that goes. But they've got modern. They've got a lot of technology to get where they're at. You know,
sure.
I mean, it's
there's
not
a lot
like,
of knowledge and stuff that's went into the parts and pieces of these cars, I guess is what I'd say there.
And another thing is you got people like Gene Fulton and Scott Duggins and Jeff Jones and stuff, you know, that's been around this stuff for years.
Yep.
And they knew what it took to run before all this stuff was out there.
Exactly.
So a lot of that technology's come in, and now there's better parts out there.
For sure.
There's better oils out there.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot better stuff out there than there was back then, but the same things makes those engines go.
Yep,
that made them go years ago. They just got an easier way to do it, you know, with better parts.
Exactly. Yeah.
And but it all in all, it was good. It's going to be good going into Mississippi.
What's your dates for Mississippi again? You're down in Gulfport, right?
Yeah, I think it's the 6th and 7th, I think.
Okay, well, I can post it. It's no
6th
problem.
and 7th in Gulfport, Mississippi, and then early the first weekend in November.
For Shadyside.
For Shadyside. And, you know, guys, those of you that live close, Shadysides, you know, and it's one of our biggest races of the year.
Yeah.
Both Shadysides. We do 2 Shadysides, 2 Knoxvilles. Shadyside's always a good car count because it's a lot of people's close to home here and stuff. And there's still a few cars that are being built or waiting on parts and stuff that should be there. We had a couple of cars that thought would make it this past race that didn't, but they do have their parts now, and they should be at least at Shadyside, possibly Mississippi. I don't know about that, but you know, and if you want to ride down to Mississippi, it's cruising the coast. It'll be a good week to take a vacation week and come down and watch us in Gulfport, Mississippi. And that's going to be a good one. That's the Larry Cummins family, Cummins Motorsports. Britt is the manager of that track, and it's going to be a good one. It will be a good one. Should be a good time down there with all the cruising the coast cars and everything.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Stuff. Not going to have my truck finished to take. I caught myself cutting corners, and I said, "No, I'm not going to do that."
I don't blame you.
So
that's
anyway.
so easy to do. You want, especially when there's something like that sitting there just teasing you to come out.
Yeah, and then you know you get a week like this where I've been on the phone for 30 hours in 3 days. So.
That's fair. No, that's completely fair. No, that was good, and like I said, we appreciate it so much. I'll tell you this: I've talked about it enough since Saturday that when I talked to Dad the other day, he said, "You know, we've got a Fairlane body. We could build a gasser one day." So, like, I mean, I've talked about this enough that even Dad's talking about potentials in the future. So that's no official announcement by any means. We got to get this 55 going, but we've got a Fairlane body down there. We can
there's
do
also
there's
also a 55 body over on the farm in the barn.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is very true. Yeah. So let's see what the future holds with all of it. But we did have a blast. I mean, we had a really good time, and like I said, I just with all the stories and everything you've told, until I was standing in there, I couldn't fully appreciate it, and everybody talking about, you know, everybody treating everyone like family and stuff like that. Everyone that we walked up to and spoke to, I never met any of them before in my life. Walked up to them, "Hey, I'd really like to talk to you about your car or your story. Would like to interview you." Yep, come on, no problem.
Yep.
And no
Yeah, that's the way
no
it
one
is.
hesitated, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Come on in. So to kind of segue into that a little bit, later this week on Friday during our normally scheduled release on Friday at 6:30, I'll be putting out the video about when me and Jackson went to the Southeast Gassers event.
Good deal.
And like I said, it's going to be about 45 minutes worth of racing, going through the pits, just kind of what you will see when you go through the pits. Got about 5 or so different interviews. Greg from Greg's Speed Shop's in there. Got Adam Lohorn with the Rod Slinger, who put on, in his passes, put on a show every time, Talked to a handful of different guys and gals, and it was, like I said, a good time. So tune in for that on Friday. I think I've watched it, and I think it kind of is the best that I can do to replicate what I saw while I was there. So that was what I was trying to do, is kind of give everyone an idea of what it's like being there and going through the pits and watching the racing. So I'm excited for it.
So I guess you'll be at Shadyside.
Potentially. Let's see. We might be able to drive a Red Galaxy to Shadyside this time, since we didn't get to do it in Knoxville.
I was trying to put you on the spot there.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure Dad would really love to go, since he didn't get to come. So we might have to figure that out. And like I said, Jackson's he's kind of chomping at the bit too. So we might just have another crew get together and come on down.
Yeah, need to bring Eugene. Doug.
Yeah, that's true. By then they'll be done racing, so they might be able to come with us. So that'd be really good. Have a big crew come.
That would be good.
Yeah. So let's see. I won't promise anything, because I'll tell you, my promises have been biting me in the butt lately. As far as I said, I was going to get stuff done or car done and things like that, and best not to promise. So we'll see how it goes. But maybe that would be great. So anything else you want to cover?
No, I think we got it.
All right,
I
sounds
think we're
good.
pretty good. I'm sure there's a lot I missed, but
Hey, there's
not
so
on
much
purpose.
going on. Yeah, it would be easy to miss something,
Yeah.
that's for sure, because there's a lot happening down at these events. But guys and gals that have tuned in this week, man, we really appreciate it, and listening to us and listening to Randy talk about all this and kind of each event. And like I said earlier, if you can or you're able to, go to one of these events. You got 2 more left this season: Mississippi and then Shadyside, which is the closest one if you're here, right here near us where we're recording right now. Go see an event, because I'm telling you, when you listen to this video on Friday, you'll be amazed at how many of these people that I talked to in the interviews say, when I ask, how'd you get into Southeast Gassers, they said, well, I went to one event. And that's about right. I could see that, There's one event could completely change you and give you the bug. So
one more thing on
Yeah,
that right there.
please do.
We have several circle trackers
yeah.
that came to one of our events and ended up with a gasser.
Well, you talked about it earlier about the fist flying and stuff like that. I don't see much attitude on fist flying down there at the Gassers, man. I tell you, that gets old. Having to watch you back. I've been in the circle track quite a bit the past few years, and that gets old, kind of worrying about getting punched in the head all the time. So I don't blame them one bit. Well, all right, guys, thank you very much. And like I said earlier, if you have enjoyed this conversation, and if you have found us because of the Southeast Gassers, thank you so much for being here and listening to us. Make sure to tune in on Friday, and please, please, please hit that subscribe button when it pops up in the center of the screen. That's the best way that you can help us, and it doesn't cost you a penny or anything. So if you'll do that, we'd really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time after Mississippi.
Appreciate you.